What if I told you the two biggest existential threats facing you right now, one biological, one digital, aren't random accidents, but two fronts of the same coordinated war? They want you focused on the culture war distractions of the day, while the very ground beneath your civilization is being liquidated. Today, we are ripping the mask off the grand erasure. Look at this chart. Seriously, look at it. The mainstream media will show you this for 5 seconds and call it a demographic challenge. That is a lie. This isn't a challenge. This is a mathematical death sentence for Western society as we know it. But here's the terrifying part. This demographic collapse is just the opening act. It's the clearing operation. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly what or who is being prepared to fill the void and why the new masters of our reality aren't even human. Welcome back to the edge of the rabbit hole. If you're here, it's because you know the official narrative is useless sludge designed to keep you asleep. Let's start with that chart. The scariest chart you will see today. The rates of birth in Europe in 2024 compared to 1990. The establishment media, the BBC, CNN, the mouthpieces of the elite, they tell you this is natural. They say, oh, it's just the high cost of living, or women are choosing careers over families, or it's just advanced capitalism, bro. They are gaslighting you on a civilizational scale. Cost of living is a factor, sure, but look at the speed of the decline. Look at the synchronization across borders. This isn't natural societal drift. This is systemic sterilization through policy. Let's drop some real data they hate talking about. Look at Italy. In 1990, they had over 560,000 births. Last year, barely cracked 379,000. That is a catastrophic, unrecoverable nosedive. Spain, Poland, Greece, the cradles of Western history, are functionally committing suicide in real time. A replacement rate is 2.1 children per woman just to keep a population stable. Most of Southern and Eastern Europe is hovering around 1.2 or 1.3. Mathematically, that means every generation is practically halving the size of the next one. Think about what that means. Forget politics for a second. Think about physics. They tell you it's a crisis. It's not a crisis. A crisis is unexpected. This was the plan. The true term for this operation is managed decline. They need fewer of you. Fewer people who remember what freedom felt like. Fewer people to demand pensions. Fewer useless eaters consuming resources meant for the breakaway civilization. They are hollowing out the West from the inside, creating a vacuum. And the first casualty of this vacuum? Your economic future. Good luck with real estate, seriously. Who do you think is going to buy your overpriced suburban house in 20 years when the generation behind you is half the size of yours? The entire Western financial model is built on perpetual growth. More bodies, more consumers, more debt slaves. When the bodies stop arriving, the Ponzi scheme collapses. Your house isn't an asset, it's a future ruin in a depopulated ghost town. But here's the thing, if you just look at the birth rates, you only see half the picture. You see a tragedy. But if you zoom out, you see a weapon. The elite aren't stupid. They know that empty nations don't stay empty for long. Something always fills the void. What I'm about to show you next ties the death of Europe directly to a silent war happening on server racks halfway across the world. It connects the empty cradles in Rome to a digital coup happening in Beijing. You won't believe the connections until you see the numbers. First, hit the like button if you think the news lies to your face every single day. Let the algorithm know we are watching. While the West is busy dying off biologically, it is simultaneously losing the war for the future of intelligence. This is a zero-sum war, and the United States just handed the keys to the kingdom over to China. For years, the arrogance of Silicon Valley and Washington, D.C. told us, don't worry, America leads in innovation, China just copies stuff. That was the most expensive cope in human history. Let's look at the scoreboard, the real scoreboard. We aren't talking about who has the coolest chatbot wrapper. We are talking about raw, fundamental AI infrastructure dominance, the brains of the next century. Look at these numbers regarding global regional AI model downloads. This is the metric of who is actually using and deploying the intelligence. Look at that swing. In less than 2 years, from late 2023 to late 2025, China goes from trailing the US to absolutely dwarfing it. They didn't just catch up, they lapped us while our leaders were arguing about pronouns in the military. 63.1% of global AI model downloads. That means the global operating system of the near future is being written in Mandarin. How did this happen? The prompt for this video said the US made a mistake. A mistake? Are you kidding me? You don't accidentally lose a 30-point lead in the most critical technology since fire. This was sabotage. The US allowed China free rein over the entire stack. Platforms. AI structure, chip architecture, HBM, high bandwidth memory, the crucial bottleneck for running massive AI models. We let them pillage our IP, buy our startups through shell companies, and infiltrate our research labs. We sanctioned Huawei, and what happened? They built their own domestic chip ecosystem faster than anyone thought possible. We tried to cut off their NVIDIA supply, so they poured billions into domestic alternatives like Huawei's Ascend chips, which are now powering that massive surge in downloads. You need to see the pattern. It's the same playbook they've used for 50 years to gut the West. First, they shipped out the physical manufacturing, the Rust Belt, the middle-class gutting. They sent it east to maximize shareholder value. Then, they shipped out the IP, forced technology transfers, looking the other way on corporate espionage. They sold the blueprints to the castle. And now? Now they are shipping out the cognitive future. They are letting the East win the race for artificial general intelligence. The thread tying them all together is the deliberate dismantling of Western hegemony by a globalist class that has no allegiance to any flag. They don't care if the AI overlord is in Silicon Valley or Shenzhen, as long as they have administrative access. And this brings us back to the birth rates. Why would the elite want a depopulated West and an AI-dominant East? Because a smaller, older, terrified population in Europe and America is easier to control. And the tools of control, the surveillance state, the social credit scores, the predictive policing, where are those tools being perfected right now? China. They are importing the authoritarian stack to manage the Western decline. So, what does this mean for you, sitting there watching this on your phone? It means the future you were promised is canceled. The intersection of these two charts, falling Western births and rising Eastern AI, is the coordinates of your new reality. It means the economic model of the last 70 years is over. Your retirement plan, which relies on a growing base of young workers to support you, is toast. The real estate market, which relies on new families forming to buy homes, is walking dead. But worse than the economics is the cultural erasure. As European societies cease to exist the way we know them, what replaces them? It won't be a vacuum. It will be a highly efficient, AI-managed technocracy where human heritage is inefficiency to be optimized away. Think about it. If China controls 63% of the AI models, they control the biases, the history filters, the very parameters of truth for the digital world. The Western canon, Western values of individualism and free speech. Those are just legacy code, incompatible with the new operating system. The disaster isn't upcoming. It's here. You are living in the early chapters of the history book that describes how the West committed suicide out of politeness and greed. We are looking at a future where Europe is a theme park of its former self, populated by geriatrics, managed by algorithms trained in Beijing. Remember that chart, the birth dearth. It's not a mistake, it's the clearing of the board. The final thesis is this: the Great Reset isn't some vague theory. It is a two-pronged attack of biological erasure and digital replacement, coordinated to ensure that the civilization that championed individual liberty is too weak and too stupid to resist the coming technocracy. They want you demoralized. They want you to look at these charts and give up. Don't give them the satisfaction. If this video scared you, good. Fear is necessary for survival. Now turn that fear into focus. Wake up to the real war. It's not Republican versus Democrat. It's humanity versus the machine and the elites who control the off switch. Subscribe to this channel if you want the raw data they are hiding. Share this video with someone who still thinks everything is normal. Join the resistance against the narrative. The West is dying. The question is, are we going to let them pull the plug without a fight? Stay paranoid. Stay awake.